Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, NXT came out of their fallout from New Year's Evil. As you know, we have brand new NXT champion and a brand new NXT Women's Champion. But however, what is the aftermath going to be like? Well, that's something we don't know. We are now in uncharted waters. As you probably can guess, we do have the NXT tag team titles on the line. Can Axiom and Nathan Frazier survive OTM, claiming that they will be the team that will dethrone them? That's a very good question. We even have a number one contendership for the NXT Women's North American title. Who will walk out to face Fallon Henley? Would it be Shotzi or Stephanie Vakir? Well, that is going to be a good question. But first things first, we do have, of course, ICW No Holds Bars with Volume 6 back in Chattanooga at the TWE Arena that took place back on January 4th, where, of course, we have the ICW American Deathmatch World title defended. Acticus Koga defended against Cody, and then we'll see how that rolls. And there is a number one contendership for that title at the main event. And then we have two back-to-back events from ChocoPro with number 421 and 422, with some interesting matches also taking place. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have been said. It's time to rock and roll. So let's begin with our very first review, and this is from ICW No Holds Barred. Okay, ICW No Holds Barred, volume 68. This took place on January 4th in Chattanooga at the TWE Arena. Now, our opening match, well, normally title matches, we have seen it being the main event, which is obvious if you're a wrestling fan or a pro wrestling fan for in general. However, it started out with the ICW American Deathmatch World title defended. Acticus Koga, as you know, in the day before, he defended his belt recently, but however, he faces against Cody Manhorde, who also serves as a referee in the promotion, but this time It was one of those moments where, of course, he wanted to prove his worth. But when it comes to Atticus Cogar, proving that he is the best deathmatch wrestler, that's always been who he is. However, you cannot deny of the things that he can do when it comes to try to bring some pain. But when it comes to him, he can withstand it in any way possible. But of course, he did brought the skewers. Then he applied a DDT onto him on on top of some tubes, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he retained his belt. Our next match, it's a tag team match in a hardcore match setting, which is very unusual. But yes, we have the Pillars, MM3, Malcolm Monroe the third, teaming up with Tommy Vendetta to take on KOBK, KOBK, Hardwing Heater, and of course Heater, and Sean Camber. Now, of course, anything in tag teams is different. I mean, when we enjoy death matches or hardcore matches, in tag team settings, there's no telling how this is going to play out. But, however, this match ended with, of course, um, when Heater ended up in a somewhat of a impressive combination by both MM3 and Vendetta, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Nathan Moweri taking on Hoodfoot. So, of course, this was a bloody murder type match you would expect. You know, all things aside, it was crazy. But, however, somehow, some way, we did see Hoodfoot walk away with the sidewalk slant, the south side suplex onto during on a burning table that allowed him to pick up the win. 1, 2, 3. It was done. Next up, we have the boss himself, Danny um, DeMonto, taking on the Duke of Hardcore, John Wayne Murdoch. Now, of course, John Wayne Murdoch, well, he made his own entries, trying to act like he thinks he's the Undertaker, so he pop up when the lights turned off. But man, this match was also another bloody type murder, where of course you don't know how this was going to go, but DeMonto seems like he was already out for the count. No matter what, he always kicked out. But when, of course, John Wayne Murdoch applied a submission, well, you can guess it was over just like that. But of course, John Wayne Murdoch applied a very interesting promo, let his heart out towards DeMonto, and just like that, they hugged it out. Everything was okay between those two. The next up, we have Dr. Redacted taking on, what's his name? Dale Patrick. Now, Dr. Redacted have shown what he can do in the ring. Man, this guy did everything humanly possible to break him. But however, it was a frog splash through a board of barbed wires onto Dale Patrick, that allowed him to pick up the win. Next up, we have one called Manders taking on Tank. Also another bloody type murder type match you would expect. But however, in this match, it was Tank who reigned supreme when he applied a choke slam on a knee. Just like that, it was over. And then, of course, Tank did a promo. And then, of course, Manders did a promo too. So that's how it ends. Now, our main event, we have, of course, ICW American, the number one contender for the ICW American Deathmatch World title. We have Otis Cogar, Atticus Cogar's brother, taking on Bobby Beverly, who is no strangers to the Cogar brothers. Don't forget, Bobby Beverly and Atticus Cogar were once members of the faction known as 440, but that group has disbanded, all thanks to the Cogar brothers. But now you ask yourselves, who will be the one to take Atticus Cogar? Will it be his brother, or will it be his former friend and teammate? That's a good question. But however, the referee was knocked out at some point, and then Cody, who fought Atticus Cogar, stepped up. But unfortunately, Atticus Cogar even showed up to even the playing fields, and also this led to, of course, Otis to pick up the win just like that. But the real question is how this is going to end between the two brothers. That's a very good question. We don't know. But I'm kind of curious how those two will be. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting match, brother versus brother. So, but until then, we'll leave things as it is in ICW, and then we move on with our next review, and that is Choco Pro. Okay, ChocoPro number 421. This took place on January 12th at Ichigaya Square, as always. Opening up the show, we have Balin Aki as usual, giving the info on the matches, greeting the fans, blah 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 blah, and that's how it goes from there. Now, our first match, we have tag team action. We have Kaho Hiromi teaming up with Iri Kane, taking on Masahiro Takanashi and Emi Sakura. Now, it's no secret that Emi Sakura and Kaho have faced off before, either in tag team or in singles competition. But however, how this is going to be, I don't know. It's very interesting because, we seen a lot of things took place. But however, Kaho, as you know, she has learned how to master a bit of the chokehold, but somehow Emi Sakura was able to overturn it into a pinfall by lying on her back, well, on Kaho's back while she's on top of her with her shoulders down, knowing that, of course, the weight of Emi Sakura was a bit too much, and that turned into a pinfall, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next up, well, we have a very interesting team up here. Sayaka and Sayaka Obihiro, or as we just simply call her, Obi, they team up. Now they take on, of course, Chiko Shikawa and Hagane Shino, who often recently have been teaming up ever since, of course, both Chi and Obi lost the tag belts to Hamna and Tokiko. But of course, I would love to see Chi and Hagane win the tag team belts for the first time because they have faced off for those belts before, but they never were able to succeed until Chi teamed up with. And then I think this was the perfect opportunity because Hagane did state it in the past that he always been a protector for Chi, and now she needs to stand on her own 2 feet. And I think now that she has, I think he felt that she can finally overcome that. And that's always been Chi. She always was felt too weak, but now she has grown. So I think this match also proved that even though those two can team up now, it's different in a way. But the one thing that was interesting how this match ended is we see Hagane applied a modified armbar on Sayaka, and just like that, she tapped out. It was over. Now our next match we have Hiroyi Iwata and Miyu Yatsuba taking on the Best Bros. Now, no secret about Mei and Miya that they're student and teacher in some ways. But how will this play out? I don't know. We know Mia has determined to surpass her mentor in every way possible. We have seen Mia grown up a lot, but the real question is, can she pull it off? Well, the answer to that question is a no. Of course, there was a double pinfall on both Mia and Hiroyi, but it was done by the Best Bros, and just like that, it was over. As for Unjunkin tournament, well, I can give you the heads up that, as you know, I did mention that Mia Yotsuba's determination is to surpass her mentor. Well, she may not have done it in the ring, but she made it up at the Jonkin tournament when she faced her, and she won the Jonkin tournament and the piece of chocolate. So I guess everything worked out in the end for her. She may not have got the big win she wants, but at least she made her cry like a little girl. Which, of course, we know Maya is a little girl because she acts like it. But that's basically her. But that's it for now for this one. Let's move on to the next ChocoPro event, number 422. Okay, we continue with more with ChocoPro number 422. This took place the day after the one we just reviewed. It was on January 13th, again back in Ichigaya Square. Of course, we have Chiko Shikawa opening the event, doing the usual greeting, and of course, info to the entire event, blah, 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 blah. And that's how we start out for the day. Now, our first match, we have Irikane teaming up with one half of the Asian Dream Tag Team Champions, Tokiko Kiara, taking on the former tag champions, Shin Dragon, Chonchiru, and Shin Suzuki. Now, of course, it wouldn't cross my mind that those two will definitely would love to have another opportunity of the tag team belts. That is something I know for a fact that they would love to go to because I want to be honest, I don't think they had a very strong, successful tag team run, but I think that sets it up. But of course, you don't know what to expect in this match. I mean, we have Irikane who has a bit of a opera sense away. Of course, Shido goes, so what? That sort of way. But however, it was Shido who picked up the win onto Irikane with the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. Over. Our next match, we have uh, Kaho Iromi once again. This time she teams up with Hiroi Iwata, taking on Chiko Shikawa and Agane Shino. So, uh, as usual, when it comes to Chi and Hagen, I have to say they have grown up and now they are becoming a much better stable tag team. But when it comes to facing off a bit of Kaho and Hiroi, who are still a bit of the rookies, you wouldn't expect a whole lot. I mean, Kaho, who is still a child, acts like a child no matter what. Hiroi, well, she's very enthusiastic about what she does. You don't know what to expect coming from her. But it does let out a good moment. But however, in this case, it was Chi who picked up the win, applying a submission on Kaho, and just like that, well, she tapped out. There was no way out. Now, our main event. These two teams are no strangers with each other. We have Masahiro Takanashi and Emi Sakura taking on Balin Aki and Mei Suruga as Best Bros. Now, many of you may question, why do I say that? Why is they're not strangers from each other? They have faced off many times, either in tag teams, non-tag team title matches, whatever. And it's no secret when it comes to Mei and Emi Sakura that they're both teacher and student. Emi Sakura, who is the one responsible for Mei Suruga becoming who she is. But we have seen these two teams face each other countless times. But the real question you ask yourself, what is the difference this time? Nothing. Nothing has changed in this match whatsoever because they're evenly matched. Now, we can say that Balinaki, he is a strong wrestler who doesn't have that, who has the attitude of never give up. Mei Suruga, well, I call her the slide devil because she has always like an evil side of mind of what she intends to do, but normally she makes it up. And then, of course, their opponents, when it comes to Masahiro Takanashi, well, he's a slick, clever individual who knows how to find ways without breaking the rules. And when it comes to Emi Sakura, well, we know her deal. She is the boss and she is the queen. So it tells it up. But unfortunately, everything that we know about these individuals, nothing changes because unfortunately, we ended in a time limit draw. So after 20 minutes, so it kind of ended right there. So we'll see what happens. But for our Jonkin tournament, well, I'll just skip ahead. The winner for this one is Hiroya Iwata, and just like that, we end the day. So, don't know when will be the next ChocoPro event, but I can't wait to do it. But for right now, let's move on with our last and final review, NXT. Okay, NXT. We entered the fallout after New Year's Evil. As I mentioned before, we have a brand new NXT champion. Now, as you all know, Obafemi comes out, does his promo, talks about his destiny, that nothing is going to stop him. However, he talks about his accomplishments, breakthrough artist, breakthrough wrestler, that sort of thing. And of course, being a North American champion. But speaking of the North American title, the current champion, Tony D'Angelo, comes out to, of course, but however, it seems that Tony D'Angelo, I don't know if his mind is set to go for the NXT title, but he was really interrupted by Rich Holland, who, as you probably can guess, has some unfinished business toward him. But of course, D'Angelo and Holland tried to deal with him while that part was happening outside the ring. Unaware to Obafemi, he was surprise attacked by Eddie Thorpe, once again being a big old crybaby because he did not win the title. Once again, now he's making another play. He will not stop until he gets what he wants. But if I was Obafemi, I would definitely finish him off. But Eddie Thorpe, he thinks he's very clever. So we'll see what happens when he catch ups to him. Now, speaking of people with egos, Ethan Page, as you know, he is starting using the Rock phrases. It doesn't matter. Do you smell this? But Dante Chen, I have to say, he stood up to him to tell him to shut the hell up and all this. But we will see those two clash later on. Now, our first match of the entire event is a number one contendership for the NXT Women's North American title. As you know, Stephanie Vaquer won the four-way match that took place recently. However, Shotzi Blackheart made a good, compelling case when she pinned the Women's North American champion. So this led to that. So I think many people might have preferred either Stephanie or Shotzi to win. To me, personally, I would love to see Steph win. However, it appears somebody who does not think that Stephanie earns the right to become a champion got in the way. Of course, Fatal Influence got in the way and took out Stephanie, but Shotzi won the match, not realizing what happened until it was over. But Stephanie Vaquer, oh my goodness, she is pissed. So she went out looking for Fatal Influence. But if I were them, if I were you guys, run. You don't want to mess with her because she is not going to stop until she gets a bit of retribution. So we'll see what happens. Now, Cora Jade, as you know, once again decided to say the fault is all on Kalani Jordan, wishing it could have been her winning the number one contenders. But that's basically it, how that rolls up. Now, once our next match, we have Dante Chen taking on Ethan Page. As you know, Ethan Page, with his newfound attitude because he was unable to reclaim the NXT title, decided to go out overboard. But he was able to pick up the win when he applied the cutter. But once again, with his ego, his attitude, he decides to destroy Dante Chen by breaking his ankle. But Javon Evans made his return, but unfortunately, it was all for nothing. He got beat up once again by Ethan Page. But sooner or later, Ethan Page will get what he had coming. Now, as you all know, recently in time, we have been seeing Shawn Spears try to make recruitment. We did see him, he was looking at Andrea Rizzo, trying to talk to her, but Izzy Dame tried to speak on her behalf, saying that she doesn't need him, she doesn't need him either. So basically, that's what it is. But Shawn Spears, he's like, we'll see about that. Now, our next match, we have a number one contendership for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. We have Metaphor, Jakara Jackson, and Lash Legend taking on Unholy Union, Alba Fire, and Isla Dawn. So you probably wouldn't expect a whole lot in this match because you don't know what to expect. But however, Lash Legend was able to pick up the pinfall with a beautiful combination move between Jakara and Lash onto Alba Fire, and just like that, brand new, we have new number one contender. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, as you know, Lexis King finally being justified for winning the NXT Heritage Cup, got a brand new trophy and all this and that. While that was happening, of course, Dempsey showed up, and then later we did see, of course, once again, Holland and D'Angelo continue their fight. So we don't know how long this is going to take. Now, our next match, we have Kalani Jordan versus Cora Jade. But what you guys did not notice, guess who was in presence watching it? Well, our current TNA Knockouts World Champion, Masha Slamovich. So that kind of sets it up right there. So it's really interesting. But however, of course, Cora Jade, who thinks that she is the real deal, tries to stop Kalani Jordan, who's trying to bounce back ever since losing the Women's North American title. But however, Cora Jade decided to scratch out the eyes of Kalani Jordan, and just like that, DDT was applied. She picked up the win. Now, as you probably saw, we did see Josh Briggs and Yoshiko Inamura, who now seems like they want to have an opportunity of the tag titles, but they confronted the current tag champions, Axiom and Nathan Frazier. But however, OTM feels that no one's going to beat them but them. But of course, later, we did see a brawl between those two. As for our main event, we have the NXT Tag Team titles on the line. Nathan Frazier and Axiom were able to, of course, retain the belts despite of their issues they had. I mean, of course, one doing this, one doing that, but they have to face a team that has proven time and time they're a dominant team. But you would expect a whole lot. And of course, watching, we have DOY also being there. Uh, Johnny, I forgot his name. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were watching. But however, what a great match, I have to say. Nathan Frazier was able to take out Lucian Price, while Axiom took out Bronco Lima with a Spanish Fly, then, of course, a Golden Ratio. And just like that, it was over. Now, the entire NXT program was not over until Roxanne Perez made her presence known to, of course, address losing the title. But she went on ahead saying that she doesn't think Julia is the right person to lead the NXT women's division. However, someone begged to differ. And that person is a former champion herself in the NXT brand, and of course also been world champion in the main roster, Bayley. So Bayley tries to reason with her, but of course Roxanne, with her attitude saying she doesn't need to hear what she needs to say, she told her that the division will be fine under Julia. But if she wants to remain bitter, well, that's up to her, because Bayley told her that she will be on her way to WrestleMania to win the WWE Women's World title, which of course infuriated Roxanne Perez. I'm sure Roxanne Perez will love nothing more to have that title, but of course Bayley does make a good point. Everybody who has won the NXT Women's title, the division itself is in good hands, but Roxanne Perez doesn't feel 100% confident. Well, we'll just have to wait and see until then. So that's how things end with NXT. We'll see what happens next week. But for now, we'll end things here and move on to our last and final thing on this episode, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events. Majority of it is coming from GCW. As you know, later on this month, on the 19th, in New York City, we have the People versus a GCW. Josh Barnett will be in action to take on Tom Pestock, formerly known as Baron Corbin. So that's going to be interesting. This is going to be the first ever wrestling appearance for Tom Pescott to make an appearance outside of WWE. So I'm looking forward to hearing about this. On the 31st of January, they will be heading to Indianapolis for Up All Night. However, a very interesting announcement that Nate Webb was be there to make a major announcement regarding his career and future. Now, I think many people are thinking, is he planning to retire? That's a good question. We just don't know yet. So we'll see what happens. And then finally, as you all know, on March 1st, they will be making their way back to LA for, of course, the Coldest Winter 3 in LA. I mentioned some names. 4 more names have been announced. We have Effie, Fuego del Sol, Ray Horace, and of course, the franchise Titus Alexander. Now, GCW did announce their World of GCW schedule. Let me pull that up real quick for all of you. Let's see. Oh, shit. Sorry, I know I had the information. Oh, here it is. Okay. So they will be, as you know, they will be on the 19th at Hammerstein Ballroom for the, the People versus GCW. And then on January 26th, they will be, January 25th, they'll be in France. And then the 26th of January in London, the 31st in Indianapolis, 2 back-to-back shows for Jersey City. And then standing on the 28th of February. March 1st, of course, we have the Los Angeles show. March 2nd, Phoenix. Two Atlantic City shows on 15 and 16. Then the 29th in Chicago. Then, of course, the Collective taking place on April 17th through the 19th in Vegas. And then back to Atlantic City for the 7th and 8th of June. And then finally Dallas on the 11th of July. So that's pretty much what takes place. And then of course we have our last thing. As you know, the Jersey J Cup will be has announced that Gabe Kidd will be participating. So yes, so there's that. So we'll see where that goes to. Now, for our developments, as you know, there is a promotion based out of Vietnam, the Vietnam Pro Wrestling. They just had the awards for 2024, and they announced for the International Wrestler of the Year, and that is, of course, our current women's champion from Tokyo Pro Wrestling, Yuki Kamifuku. So, yep, that's pretty much it. Now, some interesting news coming up on this one. It was announced that Corey Graves has been pushed to go become a commentator at NXT, but however, he just put out on his social media he was not happy with this whole thing being demoted. But however, he was pulled from the programming. Don't know what's going to happen. Some people addressed that, certain people have been demoted to go to NXT, and then they came back. But seems Corey Graves was not happy in general with it. So that pretty much how it rolled up. And then finally, many of you remember Tony Schiavone missed out on AEW Dynamite last week. However, it was foretold that there was a family situation. So it was told from him that his wife had hips replacement surgery. So it's understandable. However, he was unable to be at the AEW Dynamite last week programming. So that was the main reason. People thought it's because, of course, he spoke out against Chris Charlton, who gave some anti-AEW, remarks. That was the main reason. But, however, that wasn't the case either. So, yeah. So pretty much that's what happened. So we'll leave things as it is now in our news updates and everything else. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Dynamite. I haven't decided yet what other events I will be reviewing. So we'll see how that goes. So as always, I'll just wing it. But for now, we'll leave things as it is and move forward. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.